Welcome, everybody, to the Synapse Philosophy Group. I'm Dr. Haig, John, your host, and we have Dee Palmer's book right in front of us. We've got a great crew here tonight. We're in Dee Palmer's 1914 book, The Chiropractor. This is probably one of the, not probably, it is to me the most influential book on me in my life and to a lot of my mentors as well. And that's passed through us as chiropractors. So I feel blessed and honored to be able to read it. Think about all the amazing eyes that have read these words of Dee Palmer and BJ Palmer. So we are on page 44. The chapter title is called Function. In physiology, a function is a normal and specific action of any tissue, organ, or part of a living animal or plant that is applied only to action of an organ. A function is a peculiar action of an organ which has a duty to perform. The performance of physiological duty is a function. A physiological function is performed in obedience to a command. Okay. An organ is a part of or a definite structure of an animal or plant adapted to perform some specific function. The action or actions of an organ are known as function. A function may be expressed normally or in too great a degree or subnormal. A deviation either way from the standard creates conditions known as disease. Known as disease is disease. I don't know why that extra is disease is on there, but so now if somebody wants to mention anything, just stop me. I'm going to read this next paragraph and then we can discuss, okay? The functions include all of the vital phenomena of plants or animals, understood to be performed in a proper manner, unless otherwise stated. All functions are vital, directed by vital force, a force directed by an intelligence. Mechanical, thermal, chemical, electric, magnetic, cohesion, gravity, centripetal, centrifugal forces differ from vital forces, which depends upon two original and independent elements, spirit and matter. I think that little paragraph right there is extremely important for chiropractic. Okay. That's why I wanted to stop there. DD, I know, and we talk about this a lot. He liked the term vital force over mental impulse. He's going into why now. Anybody have any input or want to say anything? Or like clarification? Then I'll read the next one, okay? I love this because the guy that had this for me from before me in 1949 or whatever it is, he underlined everything I would underline. So I mean, it's perfectly outlined for me. I love this book. Okay, vital force. Now I'm laughing. My eyes squint so much I can't even see. Vital force may be divided into neurism, nerve force, and bathism, growth force, energy. These two divisions of vital force are under the direction and control of individualized spirit. Phrenism, that force is of the mental and under the direction of human will. Vital force is inherent in the organ or organism. Vital energy is the expression of vital force. Function is the energy expressed by or through vital force. The actions which cause us to live are controlled by intelligence. Spirit is everywhere throughout the body. There are 144 brain centers from which spirit directs all the vital functions. Wow. 144, and we say everything comes from the gut. You know, it's so much more where the whole world out there, it's your gut, it's this and that, yeah, whatever. What do you guys think about it? There's a lot going on in those two paragraphs, and I think they deserve a moment or two. Anybody have any insights?
I was trying to look up Bathism.
I was thinking you would, and I was hoping you would,
What I
because
all I found is Baathism calls for the unification of the Arab world into a single state. Its motto: unity, liberty, socialism. I think this is Didi's written prior to this, so
prior to that,
I,
yep.
I don't think that necessarily applies to this.
I'm looking up
Arab
Frenism.
nationalist ideology. So that's all I'm getting here. It's not, doesn't seem to apply to what he's talking about here. I don't know what he's referred to.
Well, here's Frenism. I had to look up Frenism. Frenism.
It's
Oh,
feeling it. It's feeling the head, reading the bumps on your head.
well, one of the
Phrenology.
vital forces, which are non-physical life forces, Frenism is the thought force, as opposed to neurism, the nerve force, or Bathism, the growth force.
Huh.
That's in Collins Dictionary online here. So now we got the Bathism is growth force. I've never heard these terms before. That is, it's new to me. I like that. The three vital forces. And it's important.
Phrenism, the force of the mental. Well, that goes, phrenology is you feel the bumps on the head
Yeah,
to make it right,
I
to
see your
make
point.
predictions and you know, like
Absolutely.
reading the lines on people's hands.
Yeah. Really reading the bumps on their head, you know?
Yeah.
I always thought that was kind of interesting. I never had anybody do it to me. I've got a pretty good model for it, but one day.
No interference.
No interference. Yeah. Beginner palpation skills here. So how do we use that now? Let's go back to what we used to do a lot more of, and especially we've got some newer chiropractors here. I mean, Jake just graduated, man. I'm stoked for you. And I don't know who KD is, but I'm thinking it might be who is that? We'll work that out. Zach, you're my man, and everybody else. I feel like I'm new in practice all the time too, and how do I use that in? Oh, it's Josh is KD. How do I use that in practice? What does that mean to me to take it to the people? I say it this way is really we know our product well, right? You know your product. You go to a car salesman. I want that guy to tell me about this car. I want you to have the greatest understanding of this vehicle before I put my children in it, right? Really, he's giving us, I'm telling you what all these things are. This is how you learn it. This is the information you need. And to speak like an educated person, he's talking about spirit and matter. I mean, I love this one. Mechanical, thermal, electric, magnetic, cohesion, gravity, centrifugal forces differ from vital forces, which depends upon two original and independent elements, spirit and matter, right? How many people have described vital force or vital energy or even life itself in such a simple way? And I mean, it's not very, he's really saying it's not very simple. We've got to separate all the other things that we sort of, use in place of that very often, right? That's what the chiropractor's adjuster was for, 1910. Should we move on? All right. Functions of, I'm going to assume, divide, is this, in this next paragraph, the fourth word I have, it's sort of a typo. I have INT, is it innate?
No, into. Functions are
Into.
divided into animal and vegetative.
Why don't you read a little bit there, Alan? Couple paragraphs.
Okay. Functions are divided into animal and vegetative. The animal functions are those of the intellect, the voluntary motions. The vegetative relates to metabolism and anabolism, constructive, and catabolism, destructive. The vegetative function includes the unconscious, involuntary growing or functionating after the manner of vegetables. The vegetative function of the body, the cumulative, is of the spirit. It's hard to read, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's the syntax is odd. Either may be normal or abnormal. Bear in mind that the function is the duty to be that a function is a duty to be performed, that behind the service there is an intelligence demanding a certain obligation, the performance of which is a function.
Let's stop right there. Let's pause just a moment. Okay. What he's describing is innate intelligence, right? He's talking about spirit. And, where he's talking about the vegetative state, when we're doing absolutely nothing, innate is spirit is creating and also breaking down. It is doing its job at 100% without thought. What he's describing is what BJ would spend more time on in educated, right? Separating educated from innate. Okay. I'm just saying that for clarity for myself.
Okay.
Keep going.
Bear in mind, the function is a duty to be performed, that behind the service, there is an intelligence demanding a certain obligation, the performance of which is a function. These orders are known as impulses sent out over the communicative nervous system. Nerves carry motor impulses outward and sensational intelligence of the external requirements inward, which is the safety pin cycle.
The safety pin cycle. I better write a note on that. That is exactly right. Awesome. Thanks for that.
That's my note to myself. I have that in my margin.
Yeah.
Nerves carry motor impulses outward and sensational intelligence of the external requirements inward.
That is perfect.
So,
all right. How about you read the next paragraph and then we're going to hand off to Barry. Is that cool?
Sounds good to me. Physiology treats of the functions performed normally in a usual manner. Functions which are pathological are performed in an unusual manner. Functions performed as desired are physiological. Innate is director of the organic functions, agents which cause an increase or decrease of functioning disease are from without, never from within.
Now, hold on.
Yeah.
Why is he saying innate? He said spirit multiple times prior to that. Why do you think he's switching to innate right now? I don't know.
Well,
is he saying something different? Like innate is this is a new function? Or is it an explanation?
Are we accepting this as written all by Didi, or are we saying some of this is bastardized, the book?
This is all Didi.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure these are his notes and teaching, what do you call them? Pamphlets that he taught with in class.
Okay. So, well, he certainly uses the term innate here as a director of organic functions.
So innate being the director, spirit being function is energy expressed through vital forces. And I really think he's giving a delineation between spirit. Wait, two divisions of vital force are under the two divisions of vital force are under the direction and control of the individualized spirit. And that's phrenism, and then also vital force and vital energy. I don't know. I know Pasquale used to spend a little time really delineating. There's a difference between spirit and innate intelligence. And I think there's something in there that we could dig out, but we can keep moving if you'd like.
Well, if he's saying that innate deals with organic functions.
The director of organic functions, right?
So, and if you notice too, he says innate is a director of the organic functions. It's not innate is the director.
That's true. That's true.
So underlining that A. I really think he's writing out his thoughts here and trying to delineate the differences and the nuances in these. Because earlier he was saying that the cumulative of this is the spirit, Whereas here, individual, innate is a director of these organic functions. And I believe, I'm thinking here that Didi is trying to delineate and get these definitions for us to work it out per se.
Well, if you go to the next step and you say, if innate is what allows the adaptation of universal forces in a living thing, it's the director of organic function which allows that adaptation to take place. That innate is a part of, but apart from universal. There's universal forces that work within a body as well as upon the body. And innate's job is to direct the organic functions that allow the adaptation to those universal forces.
That makes sense. In living. Yep, in living. And spirits and all. That makes sense.
Yes. Well, and those are the vital forces.
I got goosebumps thinking about
it. Innate is the director. But did you catch that? I mean, that's where the vital forces are the spirit. Those are those forces. But the innate is director, is a director, but not the force itself. All right. Barry, you want to read from Animal Economy?
Absolutely. Good stuff. Animal economy includes the laws which harmoniously govern an organization as a whole, man or animals. The functions of a human body as a whole are spoken of as the economic functions, the disposition and regulation of all the organs of the body. The organic functions are directed by spirit, as well as in the newborn, as in the educated adult. Functions cannot be percented. We may speak of them in a comparative way or a relative amount. Function in physiology is applied to and refers to the action of an organ or a part of an animal or plant. Function particularly refers to the special duty to be performed by an organ or parts. Normal or proper functioning requires a normal condition of the nervous system, a condition we will learn in our next lesson, depending upon a correct position of the osseous framework. Science, we will learn in our last lesson of this course, is a systematized knowledge which enables us to demonstrate and assign to their place anything and everything known as phenomena, which we can perceive with one or more of our senses. The science of functions include the accumulated knowledge of the qualities of the various functions of living tissue. Functional activity refers to the physiological or pathological action of an organ. Instead of examining the cells of dead tissue with the microscope for aberrant functions, I have given my investigations to functional deviation in living tissue.
Right there. I mean, that's where he's talking about his research right now and spending his time, I mean, he had one of the best collections of spines and I mean, pathological spines and everything else. I mean, absolutely amazing collection. But now it's where he's talking about his talking about some research. All right, we can keep going.
Haig, his collection was so detailed and great that the Smithsonian had some of his specimens there as well.
Is that right? I didn't know that.
Smithsonian, absolutely, yeah.
They got some of D.D. Palmer's his collection.
Some of the specimens, awesome. Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
Specimens.
Where are we? Functional sorry. I want to repeat, in order to emphasize one of the physiological principles of chiropractic, that the performance of functions, normal or abnormal, depend upon the condition of the organ and the quality of innervating nervous tissue. The vegetative function is that office in the human economy which controls the power of growing. It is concerned with nutrition and growth. And anatomy refers to those organs and tissue which contributed to nutrition, the development and reproduction, those organs which have to do with the growth of the physical body. The process of assimilation of nutritive of nutritive material and its conversion into living substances is known as anabolism.
I want to hold on one second. I want to back up to the paragraph before that. I mean, I'll be quite honest. It's sometimes very difficult for chiropractors to describe chiropractic. Okay. D.D. Palmer just put it just so simply. We don't have to be complicated. It's that the performance or of functions, normal or abnormal, depend if your organs are working right. It depends on the condition of the organ and the quality of the innervating nerve tissue. You don't see that in, the Dorman's desk reference or Gray's Anatomy, but that's just the basis and function of how the body works, the neuroanatomy and the physiology. And he put it in a very, I just thought that's very eloquent. I just wanted to repeat that, if you don't mind. Okay.
I think that goes back to the same thing. It's if that the innate intelligence is in charge of the functions, and it needs the nerve tissue to be able to communicate and allow the function to happen.
Yeah.
The nerve system has to
Simple
be
as that.
clear.
Right. And how much is the other group of people spent on that little connection from there to the organ, or do they spend their time on the organ? Let's rip it out, replace it, put some super glue on it, whatever they do. But does it, what do they ever look at the nerve tissue? That one little tiny statement there, I hope that statement doesn't get us kicked off YouTube, but I have one strike left.
No.
From my office talk, just for my talk, we recorded it for my people. I must, I got a little out of hand maybe that day, but it got me banned. Okay, here's Shargell. He's coming in right now. All right, you ready to go?
I'm ready to go. I'm just, to add on to this, DD is not talking about, well, in this case, let's put an ice pack on it. Let's add red light therapy to it. Oh,
Yeah.
The cumulative, the cumulative function determines the quality of that which is accumulated by the mental. It corresponds in the spirit to the vegetative function in the physical. The quantity, character, peculiarity, and the nature of the contents of the mental storehouse depend upon the condition of the physical. Therefore, chiropractors, knowing how to adjust the osseous system, the tension framework, have a normal and a religious duty to perform. As the vegetative function is subservient to the vital, so the cumulative is subordinate to the mental. It is to the spiritual body just what the vegetative function is to the physical body.
Now,
go ahead.
Let's pause a moment. Barry, I know you say you feel like those are his notes. To me, I see him in a lectern in front of the class. This is your duty. You go serve the people. It's your religious. If it's not your religious, it's your moral duty. I could see him, the front row, just getting sprayed by Dee and saying, get out there and take care of those people. That's the way I feel with it. You know what I mean?
Haig, and they could have been part of his notes in Oklahoma, because at 1910, 1914, prior, around that time.
Yeah. And then his wife would, after he passed, this was his last wife. He died in 1913. She collected those notes, put them all together. The order, what I've heard, is her order, right, of where chapter to chapter. But that's all Dee Dee's writing. From what I understand, I'm not 100% an expert, but yeah. I could feel him up there. I feel like pounding on his lectern in front of the class.
This is a pretty darn good book for a fifth wife to be putting these notes together.
Isn't that right? Yep, exactly right. Steve, you had your hand up a second ago. Good to see you. Wait, you're muted.
Barry, there was one sentence about 5 sentences before that it says that some sort of development is dependent upon the nervous system. Okay, would you read that again slowly? That's key.
Where?
Earlier in that paragraph, that something can't happen. The advancement or something like that can't happen without. It was about four. It was about the beginning of what.
But let's try this. Yeah, the vegetative function is that office in the human economy which controls the power of growing. It is concerned with nutrition and growth. In anatomy, it refers to those organs and tissue which contributed to nutrition, the development and reproduction, those organs which we have to do with the growth of the physical body.
Yes.
The process of assimilation of nutritive material and its conversion into living substances is known as anabolism.
Cool.
Okay.
It doesn't sound spiritual. He's talking about physical digestion, assimilation, creation of tissues. He's not talking about.
You missed the beginning of this.
But this is he is teaching a class too, and to help you understand the differences of nomenclature, really. And but it is the spirit that animates all. That's what he said prior on in this section. And then I think he's given us definitions between spirit and innate as well.
Cool.
All right, let's finish. Let's keep going.
Normal functioning and normal temperature are coexistent. They constitute health. Disease is an alteration in tissue and function. The performance of functions above or below that of normal activity is due to the change in retinency, firmness, and tension of the organ or part performing the act. Impulses delivered with normal force result in orders normally performed. Motive force exaggerated or decreased during the transit of an impulse over the nervous system results in conditions known as disease. The vegetative function depends upon the amount of vital force used in arousing latent energy. The quality and amount of mental impressions depend upon the cumulative function. Sane or insane ideas are the result of normal or abnormal perception. We receive impressions from the external world through the senses of touch, taste, smell, hearing, and sight, qualities of the nervous system. We obtain knowledge, receive impressions, take cognizance of the existence and character of phenomena by means of sensation, molecular vibration of the nervous system. The force of sensations and impressions depend upon the condition of the nervous tissue. A change in the structure or position of an organ creates over or under too much or too little function, a condition known as disease. There is a difference between disease is the result of over or under function, and over or under function is disease. Functions performed normally as health. In an abnormal manner or amount is disease, a departure from a state of health.
Let me pause right there. The paragraph before the last sentence, the force of sensations and impressions depend upon the conditions of the nervous system, where he's talking about recognition of sensation and all those things and insanity. But this is where he's really, I think is he talking about mental health and subluxation?
Oh, yeah, all of this is about that.
All that is exactly right? That's what this paragraph really is.
Yeah, it's saying that everything depends on the impulses being delivered by normal forces. Impulses delivered with a normal force result in orders normally performed.
Yeah.
Exaggerated diseased motive force, which effectively is analogous, exaggerated or decreased during transit of the impulse over the nervous system results in condition known as disease. So that's a motive force is how it's transmitted across the nerves, right?
Right.
Impulses are delivered with normal force result in orders normally performed. If they get there, if motive force is exaggerated or decreased, then transit impulse over the nerve system results in conditions known as disease. And so then forces, sensations, and impressions depend on the condition of the nerve system. So that would cause changes in the transit of the impulse. which would then limit the production at the end being accurate. Too much or too little.
Yeah.
Too much is just the same as too little. Either one is wrong. Just
Absolutely.
like a cash register at the end of the day.
Yep. We know about your cash register. Hope nobody had sticky fingers that summer. All right. Who wants to read the rest of it? Anybody new?
I'll go
All
again.
right. Go ahead. I didn't want you to take Barry off the job. I was just
Barry
saying,
wants to read. He's welcome to read it. I'll pick it up. I don't care.
All right, let's rock it.
The change in structure or position of an organ creates over or under too much or too little function, a condition known as disease. There's a difference between, quote, disease as a result of over or under function, unquote, and over or under function is disease. Functions performed normally is health. In an abnormal manner or amount is disease, a departure from a state of health. Physiology treats of functions performed normally. Pathology discourses upon functions performed in an unusual manner. The performance of functions depend upon the amount of energy stored and aroused by innervation. Pathological physiology is the performance of functions by an excess or a deficiency of vital force. Teratology is the science of abnormal growths, the result of vegetative functions performed in an abnormal and unusual amount. All agents which cause increase or decrease of functioning, disease, in paren, are from without, could not be from the spirit from within.
Okay, let's stop at just that real quick. He just said it, right? Yeah. All agents which cause increase or decrease of functioning, and I don't know if he used dis hyphen e's here on purpose, but it was a break in the sentence.
Breaking the sentence.
Are from without, could not be from spirit from within. Diseases are happening to us. Is that what he's saying? The spirit would not hurt the body. The spirit is there to help. It's there to replenish, rebuild, right? All right, we're almost done with this one.
I think, are we saying that spirit is there to help? Innate is there to help. Spirit is unsolicitous.
Yeah, it's there. It's doing everything.
It's there making it all work.
Yeah.
Innate's there to intercede if there's some issue, to help adapt those forces that may be from the outside, that are from the outside in, that are causing it, that are interfering with the normal transition of the impulses.
I like that delineation. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Vitality runs the vegetative function, while intellectuality directs the cumulative function. As the vegetative function may produce teratism, even so the cumulative may accumulate monstrous intellectual conceptions. As we carry with us in this world perfect or imperfect bodies, just so we take with us into the next world sane or insane ideas gathered in this world.
All right, let's
pause there. That's an interesting concept, isn't it?
Well, that's what he mentions many times. You know, our intellect is in this world, we take it to the next world. And that's one of the things of clearing insanity with people so they can move on more cleanly, or however, or clearly to the next vibration, the next realm. He spent a lot of time with that in chapter 1, actually. Not a lot of time, but I think that's an important distinction. This goes back into our philosophy, into this next world. The next world, sane or insane, ideas gathered from this world. What he talked about was, I don't know about spiritualism. This comes from, I'm probably from his thought pattern in spiritualism. What we bring from this world, we take to the next. Not physically, but the mental.
I have a hard time getting my head around that concept, that you can carry that spirit then, because that then says that the spirit which it leaves is now can be insane.
Well, it's the spirit in the trees that heals, not the tree. That's what the medicine men used to say before people tried to extract the particles. But you know, you think about reincarnation, right? If we're bringing, I'm not Hindu, but bringing these ideas from one place to the next, taking this as a cumulative journey. It's a whole other it's a whole podcast all by itself, really, that one little line. It really is.
Yeah. So wrap it
Alan,
up.
Alan, he does say insane ideas, not spirit. So I'm a little easier on that. That settles with me a little easier. And then also the idea of walking into a bank with the mask on 4 years ago, I would have said no way in the world anybody would do that without the police being called. And then there was that thing called a virus that came. So yeah, what was insane is a matter to the definer, right?
I remember I got in trouble once. I walked into the bank with my sunglasses on. I had my motorcycle helmet under my arm, and they were like, "You got to take your glasses off in here." And then they put on face diapers, right? We're not getting into that.
Too late.
Barry started it.
Barry, it's your fault. All right. You want me to wrap
that was that was an insane idea we had.
Yes.
The cumulative function determines the contents of the intellectual storehouse. The condition of the physical determines the qualifications of the mental. We take with us into the beyond just what we have mentally gathered in this preparatory stage. Whether those thoughts, impressions, and recollections are sane or insane, normal or monstrous, of reason or of a freakish mind. Well, then I'm going with a freakish mind. What can I say?
Hey, it's a freaky wet Tuesday, right? Come on. We've got Canadian smoke, Mexican snow. Who knows? I mean, it's crazy. But, this is chiropractic philosophy and how important it is. And he's putting his energy into it and really teaching the students. We have to understand these things because we go through life never thinking there's an educated intelligence is different than innate intelligence. Nobody knows this until you hear it. And same thing with his classroom. And educating, there's different energies in your body. One's growing you, one is processing your food, the other's doing something else, whatever. We just looked up all those terms. But it's important to know our field, to know our I know musicians that know everything about every guitar that's ever been made, you know what I mean? And they love what they do. Having an understanding of the physiology of the person, the spirituality, all the energy, the function of chiropractic, and the amazingness of it, as Pasquale used to say. And that's where I see this is, I feel, important stuff. None of this is what we've just read is in any school at all.
True that.
Okay. No one spends any time at all defining the energies or the different spiritual natures of the body. We take those things still for granted. And it's one of the most important factors I feel in chiropractic. But you all know that. I've said it 80 million times on here, but that's why we're doing it, right? That's it. Well, that's a good chapter. What'd you guys get out of that? How do you feel? Steve, do you have this book? You do? Okay, good. Because it's a free download. This is in the archive library. You Google it, and you can download the PDF, but no charge, I guess because of the age of the book and so on. I was going to load up some more books into that. It's actually an archive. And if it's over
archive.org.
What is it?
Archive.org. So
That's it.
They have everything. They had all kinds of goodies.
But they don't have a lot of chiropractic books. They don't have much.
I listen to a lot of music there.
But with the chiropractic stuff, we should load that up on there. I mean, because in reality, that goes on generations past us. You know, soon people won't be able to, they don't won't know how to turn a page, right? We've got to make sure all these things are up there. That's one of the reasons of having this podcast, reading it out loud. It exists now for eternity, right? For the generations that come past us that lose all the identity of chiropractic may find this one episode and say, I get it now. Thank you, Dr. Hobbs and Dr. Jones and Dr. Lichter and Dr. Crystals, plural over there. And Dr. Steve. So all this stuff, and Zach, you know, this goes on past our lifetimes, and it's for the denizens of the earth to get this philosophy, or the chiropractors to drip it. That's drip education, table talk. That's why I feel this is so important, of giving them that. And, you know, I keep mentioning Herbert Ross Reaver when he said, I still adjust people because every day I have a chance to educate them about their innate. Like, oh my gosh, not to remove a subluxation, but to tell them there's God inside you. That's important stuff.
Do the younger people here know who Herbert Ross Reaver is? He's the last guy that spent time in prison in Louisiana for being a chiropractor.
The longest, he was jailed 13 times.
He was jailed more than anybody else, and was the last person that was actually imprisoned for being a chiropractor.
He could have gotten out for $1, right? It was like $1 to for your bail. No way. And most of those chiropractors, men and women, there's a lot of females too, lots of them. And they said, nope, take us to jail. No way. I'm not going to give in. I believe in and it's not practicing medicine without a license. They refused to be licensed by medical boards. You realize that? And they said, no way. F you. We are not going to take those boards. We don't want to be licensed by you people. You know what we have now, right? We are basically, you know, under the rules of all this stuff that they fought against. So that we lost. We're not, you know,
because we so many of our fellow chiropractors, I use that term loosely for some of them, adopted so many of the medical practices that now they want to regulate those in our offices. And so those of us who don't do them are still held responsible for them because of that nonsense.
We gave in and we said, okay, well, we want to be licensed. License is literally a collar around your neck with a steel chain. That's what that license is. You break that license, you go to jail, we take it away from you and we punish you. You know, that whole Pasquale said he spent $700,000. That must have been the 60s or the 50s to try and block licensure in New York because there were medical boards run by medical people. No different than today, no different at all, except they're smarter and they know how to get around us. So, you know, I'm still in that fight. You know, if I can get away with not having a license, not paying the state of Florida, won't happen, right? Won't happen, but I paid my license, everybody. YouTube. Okay. So, got to be diplomatic to the AI bots now. That's hard, man. Oh, guys, this was a great night. I really appreciate you. This is where I like to be on Tuesdays. And you know, I love seeing the new faces here. We really appreciate you guys. And you know, this is once we get them on YouTube, sometimes it takes me a little while, but this goes around the world. There are chiropractors in all over Europe that watch this. They're 5 or 6 hours ahead of us. South America, Canada, you know, other parts of this country, you know. And so this goes through the ages, and you're the 1% of the 1% just being on here, and I appreciate you. Well, you guys have a great night. I feel like I want to hang out with you, but we got to go. Okay. So you guys have an awesome night. Anybody else have anything else?
From here, I'm going to a chiropractic political meeting online where the ICA board is trying to change our bylaws and constitution, and I'm going to bat for chiropractic on that Zoom call next.
Yeah, you know, get your bat out and then get a sharp stick. You need it. I'm so stoked for you. Thank you. We're on your side. We're praying for you, brother. Okay. Love you guys. Good night.
For a long time. I'm ready to play.
I know you are.